Ather and Ola Electric are in a battle for the public markets right now. They are both planning their IPOs. So Ola Electric found their DRHP last year, and Ather just converted itself into a public company, which is the first step towards going public. Now, Ola Electric's IPO has already been approved, and it's very likely that they will be the first of the two to go public, as Ather hasn't even filed their DRHP yet. And also, on paper, Ola Electric does look like the clear winner. They have more than 50% market share in the electric scooter market here in India, and their revenue has been growing exponentially too. Ather, on the other hand, did make their electric scooter from scratch in India, which is not something that Ola Electric can claim, and they're also known for their quality, but they actually have less than 10% market share in the space. However, Ather is doing everything that they possibly can to aggressively try to catch up. They launched Rizta, a more affordable and family-friendly scooter to cater to the mass market, and now they're setting up their third manufacturing facility to scale up their scooter production and boost sales. Ather already has a production capacity of 4.2 lakh scooters, but this new facility will expand their capacity by another 10 lakh, bringing it up to 14.2 lakh in total. Now, even though this is huge for them, they are still behind in terms of production capacity compared to Ola Electric, which last year said that they would be doubling their production capacity from 10 lakh to 20 lakh. On top of that, Ola Electric could expand their capacity to 1 crore units at their gigafactory if they need to. So at this point, on a lot of different business metrics, Ola Electric is ahead of Ather Energy, and it's very likely that their IPO is going to be more successful than Ather Energy's. However, I do feel that Ather Energy has the trust factor. They have a cult following of people who are very loyal to the brand and love their scooters, and I don't think Ola Electric can claim the same thing about their company and their scooters. What do you guys think? Can Ather Energy pull off a successful IPO considering Ola Electric's IPO is right around the corner? Or do you think it's not going to go as well as they're hoping for? Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Now, oftentimes when we think about business, we think about companies that are selling physical products to their customers, companies like Ola Electric and Ather. However, in the case of Backstage with Millionaires, you might just think that it's a YouTube channel and I'm standing in front of the camera making these videos and that's all that there is to it. But in reality, there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. We spend a ton of time managing our operations, tracking our projects, reaching out to founders, and even signing collaboration deals like this one. So I want to take this opportunity to talk about this video's sponsor, ODOO, a one-stop platform to manage all of your day-to-day business operations, and stick around until the end of this segment to find out how you can get something from ODOO for free for life. As a business, you probably send a lot of documents that need to be signed by your clients every week. And each time you do this, you probably just go on Google and find the software that allows you to create those documents for free, but that might not be the best idea. You just don't know how secure your data is going to be with one of these random online platforms. And that's the reason I want to highlight ODOO's signature application, which allows you to digitally send, sign, and approve all of your documents online. All of this data is completely secure and private, and it's also pretty simple to use too. Let's say you want to create a document that needs to be digitally signed. Well, you simply open that document, select the fields of your choice, be it name, date, email, or signature, drag them around anywhere that you want, and you choose who should complete each field. You can also create templates to save yourself time and send the document directly to the relevant individual. Then, once you've sent the documents, you can check the application to see if the document has been signed, and if not, you can automatically send reminders for those individuals. And it's really not that difficult to sign these documents either. Recipients can open them on any device of their choice and electronically sign them with just a couple of clicks. Now, in case you still aren't convinced, you can actually use ODOO's e-sign without spending a single rupee because they offer their first application for free for life. So if that sounds interesting to you, and it definitely should, then you can find a link to their website in the description and also in the pinned comment down below. All right, next up in the news, this one's a little bit spicy. You might have seen some news reports floating around that Byju's had been cleared of any wrongdoing in the probe that's being conducted by the MCA, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. But first, just a little bit of context here. So the initial reporting on this story implied that Byju's had let their investors down due to governance shortcomings, and that's not really news to anybody at this point, but that they didn't commit any financial fraud, and this was concluded by the MCA. That's what these reports were saying. And that was really important for Byju's, for their image, to show the world that they did not commit fraud, because that was something that they were being accused of. However, here's where things get spicy because the MCA came in with a statement after all of this reporting saying that it is categorically clarified that such reports are factually incorrect and misleading. In other words, Baiju's hasn't been cleared of anything just yet, and the investigation is still ongoing. And it was at this point that I came across this Morning Context report, and what they unearthed was pretty shocking. So what happened here? Well, all of these news websites were quoting from a document which had supposedly come from the summary of the findings from the probe that had been conducted by the MCA. However, when the Morning Context actually got their hands on this document, they discovered that it had actually come from Baiju's themselves, not the MCA. So if what the Morning Context discovered here is true, then this would be a big deal for the company. It's really not a good look for Baiju's if this actually turns out to be the way that the Morning Context seems to think it is. It is also very possible that the MCA had given this information on the results of the probe directly to Baiju's, not sharing it with the public, not sharing it with the media because it is a private company, and then Baiju's has disseminated that information with the public and the media on their own. Could that be the case? It's very possible, and I don't want to discount that. I think we have to wait and hear from Baiju's as well, hear what their side of the story is. But at the same time, this company at the moment doesn't have the best reputation. They've done a lot of things behind a lot of people's backs, and so I also wouldn't put it past them for them to do something like this. Obviously, the company's investors have also pretty much just given up hope that Baiju's is ever going to turn things around. Prosus, which had invested $500 million, $500 million into Baiju's, has written off its investment as a complete loss in their FY24 financial statement. All right, next up in the news, this one kind of came out of left field for me. Flipkart has launched their own payments app called Super.Money. Now, the most obvious question to ask here is, doesn't Flipkart already have a payments app called PhonePe, which is also underneath Walmart the same way that Flipkart is? Well, technically, Flipkart doesn't actually have PhonePe. See, back in 2022, Flipkart had completely separated itself from PhonePe, making it a separate entity. And so even though both of these companies are still owned by Walmart, they're actually operating completely separately. And the key thing to note here is that Flipkart no longer gets to count PhonePe's revenue in their own books. And that's probably the reason why they've decided to launch their own fintech platform. So right now, Super.Money is live on the Google Play Store, but it's still in beta mode, and we tried testing out the app ourselves, but couldn't really do anything as most of the features say arriving soon or launching soon, and the UPI tab was showing some technical error as well. And this makes perfect sense because again, the app is still in beta mode, but really what this looks like to me is Flipkart trying to take a piece of the growing fintech pie here in India. This is a space that's already being looked at by giants like Reliance, who recently launched their own fintech super app called Jio Finance. And if you look closely at Flipkart's Super.Money app's description on their Google Play Store listing, you'll find a not so subtle dig at Google Pay. So from my vantage point, the way that I'm reading this here is that they actually want to dethrone Google Pay from their position in the UPI payment segment. And of course, Flipkart does have that experience of building PhonePe, which is now India's leading UPI payments platform. So I'm not sure how difficult it would be for them to replicate that level of success. It's pretty late in the game at this point, but they do have the backing of Walmart, so I wouldn't put it past them. They might be able to pull this off. All right, next up in the news, earlier this year, Pixxel announced the launch of their satellite manufacturing facility, Megapixel, in Bengaluru. And now they've bagged a contract from the Indian Air Force under IDEX, that's the Innovations for Defense Excellence Prime Space Grant. And so they're going to be putting their satellite manufacturing facility to use by manufacturing miniaturized payload satellites for the Indian Air Force. These satellites will weigh 150 kilograms each, and they'll be equipped with Pixxel's indigenously developed hyperspectral technology, along with other technologies like electro-optical, infrared, and synthetic aperture radar. And then the next news item that I have for you guys, and this one again caught me by surprise, was OYO deciding to open their first luxury hotel called the Palette Royale Reflections Hotel and Spa in Dubai. So OYO launched this premium hotel brand Palette last year to get into the premium hospitality segment, and expanding this luxury brand in Dubai makes perfect sense for the company. With 11.9 million Indians visiting Dubai in 2023, Indians have always been the biggest market for Dubai tourism. And so now that Dubai has made it easier for Indians to get visas on arrival, the number is expected to go up as well, and OYO obviously wants to capitalize on this opportunity, which is why they've opened the first hotel well under this brand. All right, now let's move into the funding news segment for today's video. But before we talk about this week's funding news, I want to talk about Zepto's massive $665 million Series F round that valued the company at $3.6 billion. And this happened late last week, and we didn't get a chance to cover it. So this is actually the biggest funding round in India's startup ecosystem of the entire year so far. But there's another reason why this round is important. The funding in Indian startups lately has been going down since the highs of 2021, but Zepto has been consistently raising funds and proving its worth by gaining market share from its competitors. Also, if you think it would be interesting for us to cover the story of Zepto and how they actually became so successful in a business case study, let us know in a comment down below. Okay, so now let's take a look at the funding news that happened this week. Indian startups raised a total of $184 million, which is definitely a lot lower than last week's $849 million, making it the biggest funding week for Indian startups in 2024 so far. But looking at some of the companies that raised funds this week, first of all, we have Chennai-based fintech company Northern Arc, which gives out loans to SMEs to grow their businesses, and they raised $75 million in debt. After that, we have Gurugram-based B2B fashion startup Zyode, which helps Indian clothing manufacturers to design and manufacture fashion wear for their global customers, and they do this through a software platform which basically tells these factories which fabrics to use, how to make the clothes, and when it should be delivered, and they raised $18 million in their Series A round. Next, we have Bengaluru-based fintech startup Cloud Physician, a company that converts regular ICUs into smart ICUs, and they raised $10.5 million in their Series A round. Following this, we have Ahmedabad-based electric motorcycle manufacturer Matter, which is making electric motorcycles with gears, and they raised $10 million in their Series A round. After that, we have Hyderabad-based D2C dairy brand Sid's Farm, which supplies dairy products that are free from adulterants like antibiotics and hormones, and they raised $10 million in their Series A round. And then finally, we have Bengaluru-based fabless semiconductor startup Morphing Machines, which is building a high-performance processor named Redefine, and they raised $2.76 million in their seed round. All right, that is all the startup news that I have for you guys this week. But before I let you go, I'd love it if you could check out the business case study that we made on Porter and how they were able to build an 8,000 crore rupees business by making it easier for you to transport goods within the city. So go check that video out up here if you're interested. But either way, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.